Hey, mama, say the way you move. It's the electric groove. And I'm JB Smooth. And I like the way you move it, move it. All right. This is the Metal Hammer.
It sounds really quick. I mean, like, second verse, it was like, oh, shit. He's done lost it.
I took one step and immediately went off the cliff. You know what it is? I don't remember how the whole beginning to Black Dog goes. I know, hey, mama, say the way you move.
I'm going to make you sweat.
Going to make you groove, yeah.
There you go. Well, JB Smoove is a comedian, by the way.
Yes, he is, on the Orville, if I remember correctly.
I think you may be right. I think he's also... he's on the Larry... Not Larry. Oh, my goodness. I about said Larry Sanders. It's not Larry Sanders. It's...
this is the theme
Larry
to
David.
Larry show.
Larry David's always... shit. Mark Radulich, why do I get myself on the spot? It's my first time back in a while, can you tell? Curb Your Enthusiasm. Thank you very much. There we go.
This is the theme to Larry Show. This is the theme to Gary Show. Remember the Gary Shandling Show?
I never watched... Oh, wait, I do remember the Gary Shandling Show. It was the Larry Sanders Show I never watched.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
This is the Metal Hammer of Doom.
That it is.
I'm your host, the mandated reporter. Some call me Wheezy. Mr. Mark Radulich.
Careful with that mic, Wheezy.
Oh, shit. And joining me tonight, we have a lot of, we have a lot of things we need to clean up. So joining me tonight, for the first time in a few weeks now, is the savior of Ohio, Captain Cincinnati himself. The lady...
Captain Cincinnati. I'll take Cleveland, sir. I'm a Browns fan.
Cleveland rocks, but Jesse rocks harder.
There you go.
Jesse rocks the party that rocks the party. His name is Jesse Starcher. How do you do, sir?
Oh, Mark, it's good to be back here on the Metal Hammer of Doom. A very, unexpected return, as I decided last week to just kind of step out of the old hiatus and come back, because I'd rather do this than my actual job.
Yes, I believe you threw your pants at the state of Ohio.
I did. I said, enough of this shit. Let's. I'll just go back to podcasting and not get paid.
So a couple of things. One, G. Raver and Nick Gage are not the same person.
Oh, okay. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
I remember the conversation we had, and now, see, I didn't go further into that, looking into that to confirm what you had said. So, okay.
I'm a man that admits when he's wrong.
Okay.
So, I happen to be listening to that show that we did a ways back. I'm still going back through some of our older, earlier in the year podcasts when times were better and sports were happening and the world was able to, we were able to touch each other.
Oh, yeah.
We were able to fondle each other's cockles. That's what we're doing. My wife has no idea what we're talking about, but she passed me as I said fondle cockles.
When raised her eyebrow, quizzically.
Yes. So, I said at the time that Jim Cornette was in a feud with Nick Gage. It wasn't Nick Gage who fell off the ladder and, as he says, cut himself from asshole to appetite. It was G. Raver, and that's his name, G. Raver.
Okay.
So, Grover and the Mud Show gang refers to G. Raver and Game Changer Wrestling, of which Nick Gage is a part.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, that has been cleared up.
Yes. Second thing was, we put up a Metal Hammer of Doom extra for In This Moment, but I'm not going to do a whole thing on this, but my health as of late deteriorated pretty badly. I'm still going to work, but and I'm still trying to be engaged in the world. I'm still pushing myself to podcast. But if you heard on the WrestleMania show, first of all, I've learned that if I'm going to cough, I have to mute both Spreaker and Skype. Because if I mute Skype, the people don't hear me, but the people listening do. So what you hear is the guests keep on talking as I cough up what's left of my only working lung. Now, last night I recorded with the ever verbose but wonderful Sean Comer and the less verbose David Wright. We reviewed Agretzko from Netflix, seasons 1 and 2. And I muted Spreaker, and they were still able to hear me cough.
There's some strange things afoot here, apparently. What do we got to do? Double mute or what?
I think we have to double mute.
Do you have like an inline mute on your mic?
You keep asking me that. I fucking don't. I have like a gaming headset.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I guess you're out of luck there, sir.
Yeah. So, as the story goes, if I'm feeling like, you can hear I'm a little short of breath just from talking. Anyway, the point of me bringing all that up was, other than I'm going to try to, if I feel a coughing fit coming on, try to double mute myself. So that this isn't just the hack and slash podcast featuring Wheezy. I didn't do the In This Moment podcast, one, because quite frankly, even though I did Code Orange by myself, and I did Heaven Shall Burn by myself, because Code Orange was like, well, I said I was going to do it, so I'm doing it. And
yeah.
I did it on a Saturday when I was feeling pretty good, and I was able to get good breath, and I got through it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I didn't feel like I was going to get sick, or rather, when I did feel like I was going to get sick, I could just stop recording, take care of myself, and then go back again, because I didn't have to deal with, a second person or anything.
Yeah.
So that worked out really well. Heaven Shall Burn was kind of a passion project. I love the band so much, I didn't want to not do it. However, In This Moment continues to put out garbage albums, which would have been fun to talk to you about.
Oh, man. I ain't even had a chance to dive into it. I was curious as to if it held up compared to the last one. There was a couple songs, if I remember right, we were okay with, but that last album was just not fun.
There's two covers on this one, one of which is We Will Rock You.
Wow, that is I'm sure she sung it with just such, fucking... I mean, she has a way of vocalizing things. I'm sure she spun it in her own vocal style, and it was not probably pleasant.
So,
You will rock you.
I'll rock on you. So, long story short, too late. I wasn't feeling physically up to it. Last week was the last week of my old work schedule. I'm now back on 12-hour days, which the good part of that is I have more days off to recover from going to work and feeling the way that I do and having to push myself through it and then coming home and falling apart. Mm-hmm. So, with that said, I did the two podcasts. I did the one with Alexis. I did the WrestleMania podcast, and I was like, all right, I'm done for the week. And then I worked over the weekend, so I really didn't have time to pick up a day to try to do it. You know what I mean? Like I did with Heaven Shall Burn and Code Orange. So I said, you know what? I rarely cancel any podcast, as Jesse knows.
That's right.
So
I've been scolded one time. You listened to it was a source material, and oh my goodness, Mark Radlich told me to go fuck myself when I asked him if he wanted to go ahead and just take the night off.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Listen, if 5 inmates can sneak into a room, mash up their meds, mix it with coffee grounds, and snort them, the least I can do is podcast with half a lung.
What in the world?
Because the cocaine party is the best kind of party, and the cocaine party don't stop.
Yes, sir. My goodness. Not even prison going to stop that.
That's right.
And they're like, well, we're already here.
All right, so to wrap up this tale, I didn't do the in this moment, but then you said you were coming back, and I definitely wanted to talk about Testament, so here we are.
Yes, it's a good album to come back to, a good band to come back to. I think at least to take a little break from the essentiality, I guess.
Yeah. So amidst the quarantine, Testament released their 13th studio album, Titans of Creation, on April 3rd.
Yeah.
This album marks the first time Testament had recorded more than one album with the same lineup since The Ritual in 1992. Titans of Creation is also the band's first album to be co-produced by Juan Arteaga, who previously worked with Testament's 2 studio albums, Dark Roots of Earth, which we reviewed and was amazing, and Brotherhood of the Snake, which was still amazing, but less amazing than Dark Roots of Earth.
I will concur. You mentioned quarantine. I think you definitely need to bring up what happened with Chuck Billy recently.
Why don't you bring it up?
Oh, okay. Well, hey, Chuck Billy was, in fact, him and his wife and some of the members of the crew were, I don't think the band, I think this was just of the road crew, were apparently tested positive for the COVID-19, the coronavirus. And luckily, yeah, like many people are. Luckily, things have, it looks like, have subsided, and he's definitely feeling better. But he said it was like a real quick change. I remember one of the articles said it was just like a real quick change from day to night. In the span of one day, he started really feeling bad. But yeah, he is on the recovery road, so that's a good thing to definitely hear. I can tell you that most of the reviews that I had the chance to read about this album, at least 3 or 4 of them started out with, "We all know things are shit right now." And so it seems like this album gets lauded as one of the things that could just take us back and get our minds off of things.
We need to create like a time capsule of this period.
Oh, yeah.
The modern pandemic and what it wrought.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of put together like a time capsule of things people created during this time period.
Yeah, dude, this is something that people will be talking about for years. I mean, if not decades.
It's almost traumatizing in a way. Like, I mean, your wife's been home with the kids, I'm sure, and you've been working overtime, so you have not been as present as you had been or could have been. I've been steadily working, but I watched a video last night of like the opposite of that, where it was 2 people, neither of which were leaving the house, like neither of which left for work, and they were working from home or out of work or whatever, and they've spent all this time just in their house. Like, it was a funny video. It was obviously for comedic purposes. But I remember, like, the one woman at one point, like, she's in, like, a sweatsuit. And she's like, "What's jeans?"
Yeah. Well, you ain't going to fit it into them, I imagine, after the quarantine, because that's pretty much what we've relegated ourselves to realizing is that, we're probably going to put on, like, 15 pounds of quarantine weight.
Not me, man. I'm losing weight. Well, that's mostly because I'm, like, halfway dying, so.
Oh, geez, that's not dark at all.
My heart has to do the job my lungs used to do, so.
Well, okay, well then.
So I'm shedding all kind. I'm going to be ripped before I die, Jesse. I'm going to look like Lex fucking Luger before and after.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh. Well, all right. How do I steer us from this shit?
Daintily. Hey, look. If I can't have a sense of humor about myself,
that's right.
I have to eat a gun. So.
All right. That's not less dark, but all right. We'll move on.
Laugh with me, Jesse.
So yeah. This is some strange times we're living in, which again, I think it's been said by our medical doctor here that's always on the governor's address that this is a once in a 100-year thing, dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about it, in the 1920s, they were probably dealing with whatever the flu pandemic was back then or something. Right. But this is crazy.
We've had other pandemics, we've had other like virus outbreaks.
Oh yeah,
but they were either localized or able to be controlled, or they weren't like. What are they saying now? That the newest thing is COVID-19. Like even if you're jogging and someone's 6 feet behind you, you might still
get it.
Get it? Yeah.
Wow.
Like if you cough or if you just breathe out and droplets of your breath and sweat blow into the air, someone 6 feet behind you might still get infected.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think SARS or MERS or swine flu, Ebola, West Nile. I don't think any of that was as easily spreadable.
Yeah, I know that this is something that they said is just outrageously contagious, which would be a name of an album. But that's what I've heard. I mean, it's really something that's very
Manic Panic is playing this. Manic Panic playing this Wednesday at the Ritz with Outrageous Contagious.
That's wonderful. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, man, this is crazy stuff. So what better way? And I agree with these reviews. What better way to take our mind off of things than some just big dumb thrash?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. I love Dark Roots of Earth. It was one of my favorite albums of 2012. I liked Brotherhood of the Snake. I didn't think it was as good as Dark Roots of Earth. But I'll tell you, and I think I've said this on other podcasts where we talked about Testament, I wasn't, the biggest fan of them even when I got into metal. When I got into metal, it was Pantera, Sepultura, Machine Head, Life of Agony, Typo Negative. And then it was but the 80s, I was okay, Metallica, some Megadeth, some Ozzy, and I remember being exposed to Testament and Overkill at the time, and I was kumsi kumsa. Mm-hmm. Going back now, I have much greater appreciation for Testament, and of course Overkill. You know what I'm going to say.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I'm going to say. Welcome to New Jersey, you fuck.
Get the fuck out of my state.
All right.
Wow.
You ready to just kick this off?
Yeah, man. Let's hear it. Let's jump into some cultism here.
All right. Here we go. This is Children of the Next Level. Children of the Next Level are chilling with the devil.
Oh, man.
I'm going to get that tattooed across my dick. Just one side up, Children of the Next Level. Down the other side, chilling with the devil.
Chilling with the devil.
I have a 13-inch penis, Jesse.
That's
Just want you to know that.
Thank you.
That's how you get it all on there, see?
No comments.
That's a Family Guy joke.
Okay.
Does anyone else...
That's the second Family Guy joke that you've made on podcasts, 2 in a row so far that I've been on.
Did I do another one on Monday?
Source material had I'm sure had one on there. I remember that one specifically.
There's a guy choking at the table.
Yes.
And the wife's like, "Doesn't anyone know CPR?" And Peter stands up and goes, "I have a 13-inch penis." And everyone claps.
So, Heaven's Gate, Mark Radulich. Heaven's motherfucking Gate. All right, so tell me what you remember about Heaven's Gate.
They were a cult.
Yes, sir.
And everybody died.
Yes, sir. They were a UFO religious, according to the Wikipedia here, UFO religious millenarian? I don't know what that is, but millenarian cult based near San Diego. It was founded in 1974. Now, I remember this this guy's name specifically, obviously because of what happened with Heaven's Gate, but he had a haircut that became known as the Applewhite. So he had this weird, like, it was kind of like a bowl cut, I guess, a little bit longer. But anyway, led by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles, on March 26, 1997, members of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department discovered the bodies of 39 members of the group in a house in San Diego suburb. They had participated in a mass suicide, a coordinated series of ritual suicides. And one of the things that they did was they were mixing phenobarbital in applesauce and pudding, eating it right up, chasing it with vodka, and then putting a plastic bag over their head, all with the distinct purpose of hitching a ride on Hail Bop, go back on home. You remember Hail Bop?
Isn't that a comet?
Yes, Hail Bop was a comet. That is correct.
What made them think that eating drug-riddled pudding and putting a bag on your head would somehow transport them to a passing comet?
So there is a spacecraft supposedly following the comet. So that, I think, is what they're hitching the ride on. And as to, the only thing that I could think of, the only thing that would motivate me would probably be, Rob Zombie and everybody's fucking on a UFO. So that's what there was a huge orgy apparently planned. These guys had to hitch a ride. There you go, Mark Radulich.
I think that's the rule, that if you're going to hitch a ride on a passing alien ship, you must have an orgy beforehand.
Perfect.
I wonder if that works in a bar.
Well.
Don't
know, sir.
Like, we should go, you and me, should go to a bar.
Okay.
And we should try to, pick up girls. Two old, fat, white guys.
Yep.
This will be good.
This sounds like it's just gonna 100% success rate.
Yeah, absolutely. So two old, fat, married white guys with children who aren't totally plugged into the culture right now and resent the parts they do know. Okay? This will work out really well.
Yep.
So let's go to a bar and pick up 20-something-year-old broads. And the line that we're going to use is, why don't you come over to my place and let's have an orgy so that way we can get on the passing space shuttle.
100% success rate, sir.
I mean, first of all, any woman that says yes to that, you bang them, right?
Oh, yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Given.
Like, the ones that say no, all right, fair play to you. You're not a total moron. But I'm just saying, the girl that's been yeah, that's what I've been waiting for my whole life. Yes, spaceship, orgy. What are we waiting for? You bang them. You totally bang them.
There you go.
This is what the show's been missing for the past 2 shows. Because I just don't randomly go into picking up strange tale in bars with weird sci-fi pickup lines on my own. I have to be inspired, Jesse. You are my muse.
That's good. That's good to hear. That is really good to hear. Now, I don't frequent bars very often. But,
well, you got married when you were 12, so
yeah, that's right. Before I was of legal drinking age, which is actually true. I got married when I was 20, I think. So anyway, I can remember some of the chicks I'd seen in bars. And I don't think any of them would go for what we're saying here. Of course, that was back in the 90s, so what the hell am I talking about?
Well, I think if there are enough free drinks being bought that the girl does not have to pay for, and if there's drugs about, I'm pretty sure it really doesn't matter what your line is. They're going home with you.
The old alcohol and drugs.
Because there ain't no party like a cocaine party, because the cocaine party don't stop, Jesse.
I cannot believe I've already forgotten about that. Unreal.
You ready to listen to the next song?
Yeah, can I just say real quick, I like the song.
Sure.
Okay, I thought it was fun.
Yes.
But it's a weird subject for I mean, it just feels strange to me for a Testament to go like, you know what we need to sing about?
Hey, remember Heaven's Gate? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple topical songs on here. This one just feels really strange. I mean, it's a good song, and he gets across what's happening, and I knew exactly who he was talking about as soon as I got through most of what we were listening to. But again, it's just a weird topic. But I like the song. I think it's a solid opener.
I'm trying to scan through the wiki here on the album and see if I can get a sense of what kind of inspired this, but it just kind of talks about like when the writing took place, and like how soon they went into the writing process after Brotherhood of the Snake and touring and all of that. It doesn't really, I mean, I need to give it another look-see, but it doesn't really give a whole lot of insight as to, what we should cover, Egyptian gods, Heaven's Gate, cult.
There's a lot of, and apparently this is something that, is mostly through Testament stuff. The references to like Babylon and, the past. One of the guys that I was reading was saying he loved, before the days of the internet, he would listen to metal songs and then go to the library with a bunch of topics in order to learn more about them. Of course, nowadays we have the wiki and we can do that sitting at our own house listening to the album. But, that's kind of their thing. So like they kind of pick some things and they're just like, let's sing about it. And as odd as it seems, I mean, it makes for a good story because I mean, it's fucking mass suicide and that's right up, sure. Testament and metal's alley.
And we've talked about this in the past that like the great thing about metal is that no topic is off the table and that there's so many bands out there that have written so many songs about a myriad of topics, ancient mythology, fantasy, science fiction, math. Some
let's not upset the mathcore crowd. Okay,
but I mean, in all seriousness, like they tell stories, fictional stories, things like that. Like when you think about all the stuff that we've really given a lot of high praise to, it's usually, I mean, some of it is of the dumb variety because that's just kind of me. I'm going to knock people out. Perfect. Grammy. But a lot of that, but especially you, a lot of the stuff that you're into is very theme, specific topic oriented. There's a story about it, or they're addressing a particular issue, and that's wide open.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, let's go to the next one. This is certainly, I like the memes this year where it was just like World War, apparently, and I didn't get this because like I don't think our president is the worst guy ever. I tend to kind of take things, I tend to sort of look at the grand scope of things, and try to place things in their time. They said a lot of shitty things about Reagan too. They've said a lot of shitty things about a lot of presidents. And I just think sometimes we get caught up in, oh my God, he's the worst ever. Well, because he's the president now.
Mm-hmm.
But in 20 years, people might look back and go, this was good, this was bad. Like I said, in Reagan's time, there was a lot of, he's the worst president. And some people still think this. He's like the worst president ever, and this is the worst. America has fallen on its face. So, whatever. My point is that there was a lot of fear that because the perception of Donald Trump is he's a big fat dumbbell, that he was going to get us into like World War III.
Yeah, well, yeah. The Iranian issue that we had there, which everybody was like, oh, it's on now, it's going to be happening, get ready.
We don't have to worry about it anymore. They all died of coronavirus.
And then 1 week later, we completely forgot about it.
Yeah,
it was like the biggest thing to jump on the bandwagon and make a meme about, and then literally like within a week, we're not even concerned. It's like back in the day when you started saying that World War III was right around the corner. Holy shit, that was a big statement.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's just like, it's a fucking joke.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and I don't want to pee on the song, because I like the song and everything, but it's like, so many of these people are like, oh my God, World War III, like they really feel like they're hitting like a poignant note in this period of history. It's like, one, people have been talking about World War III for 50 fucking years.
True.
Longer, as a matter of fact. Since the 50s, this has been a thing. People have written about it. I think Robin Williams did a stand-up bit about World War III, all 5 seconds of it, in the 70s.
Wow.
The 70s, Jesse.
Yep.
So here it is, after that long, rambling introduction. This is World War III. Do you think the concept of a nuclear missile launch and subsequent annihilation is quaint at this point? I need to know your thoughts on geothermal nuclear war, Jesse.
Well,
I need your expertise on global warfare, because here's why I say that. Why I think it's a quaint idea. I like the song, by the way. The fucking Testament. I'm definitely feeling a lot of Dark Roots of Earth style Brotherhood of this thing. They have definitely stayed within the same sort of silo of sound. So far, so good. But the idea of the anxiety of being hit with a nuclear missile. When you look at what really does damage now in 2020, obviously a worldwide pandemic has done more damage to this country economically than the possibility of North Korea launching a missile,
or
Iran launching a missile. Because here's the thing, I think for the longest time people operated under the mutually assured destruction. You got taken seriously, and you were given special dispensation if you brought nuclear weapons to the table.
Oh, yeah.
But the thought that someone might actually use them outside of, a terrorist organization, and then even then, you're not really launching a missile. I think, the big anxiety was, and this may have been entirely a work of fiction, according to my dad, the suitcase nuke.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that was a thing in movies for a while?
Oh, yeah.
That was a big trope.
I think 24. I remember watching a season or two of 24 with the same, that was the big thing. Oh, my, they're going to have a suitcase with a nuclear bomb and explode in a dirty bomb somewhere and irradiate half of whatever big city they're in. And
I feel like the last Jack Ryan movie dealt with somebody launched a suitcase nuke. In the Baltimore football arena, football stadium.
If it's as to whether it's quaint or not, I can remember, back in the days, that was something that as a kid, for some reason, something I feared a lot.
Sure.
I mean, it was, but
you're like 100 now.
Yeah, now that I've grown, I realize just like what you're talking about. Okay, well, somebody who does something like that, a government that makes a decision to do that, is just like what you're saying. There's going to be repercussions.
Right.
And so a government that makes that decision would not make it lightly, that's for sure. But I don't think there's been a situation where we have to fear it. What we hear a lot of is like North Korea, that's always given us a hard time and trying to launch missiles and at least reach some part of the United States. And that stuff is...
Back in 2000, it was the axis of evil. Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. And the whole propaganda was, we can't let the axis of evil have weapons of mass destruction because they don't have... In none of those cases are we assured that A, the government is stable enough that something terrible wouldn't happen, or B, that the government is stable enough that it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah. I think the biggest fear that you have, and that drives out of a song like this, is just the effect that it would have on the people who obviously are hit by the blast or affected by the blast.
Sure.
And I think that's where the subject matter comes in for a song like this, for a song like Megadeth's Set the World on Fire or Set the World Afire. There's actually quite a few songs, if you take a look in metal history, that surround nuclear warfare.
Dude, there's a band called Nuclear Assault.
There is a... Isn't there a label called Nuclear Blast?
Nuclear Blast, Nuclear Assault, Napalm Death.
Yep. Yeah, so it's always there, and that the lyrics of this song. By the way, this is my favorite song off the album because it's heavy, and then I think at the I can't remember what mark it does, but where it's at. But it starts to do this breakdown and just kicks some serious ass. Anyway, the lyrics of the song are just all about I quoted it here. Everyone is going to die. There is no escape. That's pretty fucking scary. But the thing is that
nuclear
would that
war
happen?
is like a euphemism for one's own impending doom,
Demise.
Demise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could very well much be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's a fun subject for metal bands to tackle. Is it something that I worry about all the time? Just like you said, we had that big dust up where everybody thought we were just going to go right to war with Iran, and here we go. But that didn't happen. It's more of as we get into this age, World War II and World War III are the amount of change in warfare tactics is completely different.
Right.
So to have a world war and call it World War III, I just don't know if it's something that would ever happen. I just don't think it would ever happen.
If you study the history of World War I and World War II, and Robert, I think, has brought this up, World War I and World War II are kind of the same war with a brief period of an armistice in between. Mm-hmm. And the world is so much different now. The world is so much smaller than it once was. Your ability to cause a massive amount of destruction on the other side of the world is 100 times easier now than it was back in 1940. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, the global economy now, we're so much more dependent on each other. It's
Yes.
funny. So most of our electronics are made in China, where the viruses are from. And
let's not be racist here, Mark. Come on now. Are you calling this a Chinese virus?
All I said was it's where the viruses are from. Bird
Facebook.
flu, swine flu.
I got it. All right.
Sure, viruses can come from anywhere, but yeah.
This came from a bat, did it not? came from a bat, correct?
Allegedly.
Which, by the way, how prescient was our Metal Hammer of Doom extra with Chuck Billy singing among a storm of bats? This was what? It was 2008, and I did mention time travel. So
yes.
I just don't know, man. There's something crazy going on there. But go ahead, continue what you were saying. We're in a smaller world.
We're in a smaller world. So, just as a really tiny anecdotal example, so with the quarantine happening, there's been a lot of playing of the Switch, and we initially got the Switch for Jonas and Lily to share, and it was in the living room at one time. Lily tended to not play it because she was involved with musical theater, and she was swimming, and she just didn't have time. Mm-hmm. She had schoolwork. So Jonas, so it kind of just became Jonas's, even though it was bought for both of them. So he played it more. The quarantine has turned that on its head to where they're both playing it, and as I'm sure you are experienced with, are now fighting over it.
Oh.
Because rather than play cooperatively on the television, it's basically just a portable game.
Yep.
Because they also don't want to be away in their rooms most of the time. They want to be out in the living room with everybody, but they want to be on the game. Mm-hmm. So again, it's they don't really use it as a stationary system. They use it as a portable system. So we thought about getting her the Switch Lite.
Okay.
So that she could, because the big difference is you can't hook it up to the television, which she isn't going to do anyway.
And really, the Switch Lite is the one answer to the big problem, which is stop fucking arguing over the game. Now you each have one, damn it.
Right, now you each have one. Go be a zombie in another room. Here's the problem. We went looking for one. If you try to order it on Amazon right now, it is jacked up in price.
I legitimately just listened to a podcast that was 3 weeks old today talking about this subject, about how the Switches were going up in price, and they were at like $250, I think is what they were seeing.
Right.
That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's $300 now for a $200 Lite.
Yep.
Because of what's happened around the world, you can't get these. Like, I just saw an article. It's funny, like, as we were starting the podcast, we went looking for this light, and we couldn't find it unless you wanted to pay, double the price for it, or almost double the price for it. Mm-hmm. And I think you'd end up paying double the price with, like, taxes and shipping and everything. First thing I see is an article, just out of happenstance, that there's no way you're going to get a Switch before summer.
Wow.
At this point. Like, manufacturing was shut down. So many of our electronic devices are made in China, which for the first part of the year was not operating. Everything was shut down because of the pandemic. Your food supply. I don't know if you know this, Jesse, but that pork chops that you make for your family, that you go and you buy in the grocery store, they just announced not that long ago that because so much of farming now is large, like, agribusiness. Mm-hmm. When one shuts down, it cuts off huge swaths of the supply of that agricultural good. So in the case of, like, this meat plant, like, they was like, you might not be able to get pork for a while.
Yeah.
Because, they shut down the whole plant because somebody got sick.
Crazy.
So when you have, like, one plant that feeds half the world, and then suddenly something happens to that plant, people start going without things. Have you been to the grocery store lately? It's fucking hilarious.
I have been in my basement for, like, at least 12 hours a day. I go upstairs, I go to sleep, I get back up, go to my basement. That is how things are
fucking
done
Herman
around
Munster
here.
Over here.
I send the wife out to do the errands.
Has she talked about it?
Oh yeah, dude. It's not fun.
I couldn't get corned beef hash. You understand what I'm fucking telling you? This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is corned beef, sliced and diced, mixed with potato, in a can, filled with salt. I could not get this.
Oh wow! So you're tying this in with, you know, we're going back to World War III and about how the nations are interdependent upon us, because when one thing goes down, just like you said, it's not just us anymore. It now affects everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, we got there, I think.
Yep. I think what I was trying to say is this. I go back to my initial statement of it's kind of a quaint idea that we fight each other with weapons when it's much more realistic to have like what we're going through now, you know, or, you know, tariffs, you know, economic warfare, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Agreed. I can see where you're coming from there.
So metal bands start writing about how, you know, start writing metal songs about tariffs.
Man, I cannot wait to see what comes out of this. I mean, really, when in the metal world, I'm sure there's going to be some good content dropped just because of the fear that we have right now.
In 20 years, Jesse, people are going to be telling stories about how Joker was the hero and Batman was the villain. Batman, from Batman, you get viruses. From Joker, you get La Revolution.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. What is the next song, please?
The next song, my lovelies, is Dream Deceiver. Dreamweaver, I believe.
Nope, wrong song.
Damn it. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is one of the other ones I think I'm going to put in my top 3 off this album. I really dig that one. Chuck Billy holding his vocals down. I mean, this guy's, you know, he's pushing. He's got to be in his 50s, right? I mean,
let's see here.
I'm looking it up.
Oh,
let me see.
Chuck Billy.
Chuck Billy.
57 years old. He was born in 1962.
Wow. I think he's still. I have not noticed any type of degradation in his vocals from the past 2 or 3 albums at all. I mean, it seems like it's not. It doesn't seem like he's taking it easy on any of the notes. I could be, you know, I could be wrong because maybe there is. I didn't notice a whole lot of like standout like long belting on this album, but regardless, it still feels like vintage Chuck Billy to me.
Yep. You know, for a thrash album, I actually think this is pretty. This has a lot of really good rhythm to it. You know, it's not just balls out on every song. You know, yeah. Dreamweaver had some good rhythm to it. Dream Deceiver had some pretty interesting rhythm to it, but it kept up that heaviness. So good on them. This next one, Night of the Witch, was actually a single that was released January 31st. We didn't do it on the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra because I think it was like a lyric video, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was lyric videos, and then there was not experience video. It's something weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything we were going to cover anyway.
Yeah. So here we go. This is Night of the Witch. All Night.
This one's okay. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely decent.
I was going to say, I feel like it takes some notes, like wine notes. Just a hint, very kind of like lightly inspired by Slayer.
Okay. All right.
I was hearing some Slayer on that one.
I can't remember if it's this one where he mentions that. No, I think that happens in World War III. But there was like kind of a neat little lyric homage to Slayer. But yeah, it's not in this one. I can see where you're coming from there. There is some black metal elements in this as well. They mentioned that Peterson, is he the guitarist? Yeah, Eric Peterson slips in some black metal vocals in this song. He does it again later on in this album. Definitely giving it a different, use some kind of wine verbiage. I don't know. A muskiness. How's that?
Sure.
Sure. That's fine.
I like your musky metal.
Muskiness. That's good stuff. But yeah, that's Night of the Witch, man. It's still heavy. It's not the worst one off this album. But it's pretty good.
Some like crackhead goth girls to like, I don't know, dance naked around a fire for this video. Like shoot it on a cell phone or something.
You know what? All right. Do it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I remember like having this frustration when we were doing the Metal Hammer of Doom extras, and they were like, "Oh, it's like a lyric video," and then it was like a visualizer.
Visualizer. There you go. That's the word.
And if you don't know what a visualizer is, wait for your computer to fall asleep. And you start seeing lines and circles and shit. That's a visualizer.
There you go.
Like, honestly, like you can just shoot a video at home now. Like you can't tell me like Testament can't find some broads to dance naked around the fire and just sort of shoot it tastefully so the fire couples up their nipplage, and and they're like that's Night of the Witch.
Perfect.
Like fucking go Blair Witch on it.
I think they mentioned that this was actually
the second Blair Witch movie.
There was a mention that this had some. Either was inspired by the movie The Witch, which I haven't watched, and I heard it's because it's horrifying and scary. Mm-hmm. But so it is at least got a little bit of movie inspiration, although it may not be Blair Witch. It is The Witch. As
we all know, the only thing you need to know about witches is that they dance topless around fire.
Yes, indeed.
Haven't you ever seen a production of Macbeth?
No.
Boil, boil, toil, and trouble, and they're all old and dancing around the fire. They're old witch boobs hanging out,
and they got old witch boobies. Oh man,
old witch boobies.
Oh,
look, witches don't wear bras, Jesse,
and
they
why
like
they
to be
say
naked.
It's as cold as a witch's tit out there.
That's right.
Holy shit!
That we figure shit out on the Metal Hammer of Doom.
Cannot believe I did not know this.
Have you missed this, by the way?
I have, as a matter of fact.
This ridiculous conversations that we have.
Of course.
I need to know from the people who heard the Code Orange review and the Heaven Shall Burn review, do you prefer me by myself just trying to find something to say about every song?
All of a sudden you're going to get all this mail and be like, ditch that motherfucking Jesse.
Like, no, we hate you two together. Holy shit, dude. You barely talk about music, but boy, do you talk a lot about tits. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
All right, because these are a few of my favorite things. Boobs.
Boobs and nipples.
Yep. You ready to move on?
Move it.
Speaking of tits, this next one's called City of Angels. beast when he calls.
So, 6 minutes and 43 seconds of this song. Okay, it's the longest song on this album, and it is probably in the bottom 3 for me when it comes to.
It's not great.
It's too long. It's too winding. It's if you look at it lyrically, it's a song about the Night Stalker, which that subject's been broached by metal bands before. I'm not a fan.
Night Stalker, a comic book character.
Knights, probably.
Or am I thinking of Night Thrasher?
Night Thrasher is definitely a Marvel comic character. I don't know if there is a Night Stalker in the big 2. You would think that there would be, but then again, you probably don't want to be associated with the serial killer from Los Angeles.
I bet if there was a Night Stalker, now it's, woke and wearing pink and gender fluid.
That's drenched in it.
Soaking up all that gender fluid.
What did you douse me with? That is my signature gender fluid.
That there needs to be like a villain that's just like Hydra Man.
Gosh. Oh man.
But he's called gender fluid.
All liquid based, it should be a liquid based villainous team. One member being called gender fluid.
Fucking fighting Spider-Man. I thought the Hydra Man was bad.
Oh boy.
Who left their gender fluid in the shower?
Just weapons somehow dispensed from his crotch. His or her crotch, I should say.
Yeah, they's crotch.
Their crotch. Thank you.
They.
All right. I'm so not woke.
Guys,
so not.
Character's first name is Ace.
Ace?
So is his last name.
Jeez.
We're just trying to help here, folks. Trying to help Marvel reach that 0.001%.
This is not the podcast for that.
Of the
not
population.
the podcast that the Marvel creators are going to be listening to.
No.
You never know, but whatever. Ishtar's Gate is up next. Mark Rattledge, play that fucking music, white boy.
You ever see the movie Ishtar?
No, but I've heard it sucks.
It's one of the worst movies ever made. It's hilarious.
Well, I got to pull that up. When we get back, I'll talk about it.
All right. We'll talk about Ishtar after
Yes.
Ishtar's Gate.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Ishtar's Gate. play of that.
Ishtar came out on May 15th, 1987, starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty.
Yes.
All right. So, critical reception of the movie, just straight from Wikipedia. The film had a polarizing effect on critics upon release. The Washington Post critics were split. Destin Thompson described the film as an unabashed vamp for a pair of household names, and as such, it works, often hilariously. While Hal Henson wrote, it's piddling, a hang-dog little comedy with not enough laughs. Roger Ebert wrote for the Chicago Sun-Times that Ishtar is a truly dreadful film, a lifeless, massive, lumbering exercise in failed comedy. And Gene Siskel called it shockingly dull and dim-witted.
Yeah.
Together they selected it as the worst film of 1987 on Siskel and Ebert at the Movies. Jane Maslow of the New York Times was more forgiving, writing, the worst of it is painless, the best is funny, sly, cheerful, and here and there, even genuinely inspired. And Vincent Carby, also for the Times, listed it as a runner-up for his top films of 1987. Ishtar
that
currently
person's
holds...
on crack.
Vincent Canby. Ishtar currently holds a 38% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 53 reviews. The site's consensus states Warren Beatty, Dustin Hoffman, and laughter itself get lost in the desert during a flawed spoof of a classic road movie that proves ill-suited for its mismatched and miscast stars. So how long was this movie? Because that was one of the big things I remember hearing. Oh, it wasn't that long, 107 minutes. So that's less than 2 hours. I thought it was like this huge. Maybe I'm getting that confused with something else, but
it might have been long for 1987.
Well, it's probably if it isn't a good movie, it probably feels like a damn eternity.
Sure.
107 minutes, I'm sure, is probably grueling if it's not a good movie. Yeah, I've never seen it. I've heard so many people say it's just absolute dog shit. So I'll never have the. Unless I'm doing a podcast on it or something, I'm never going to have the... I don't even know where you could find it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on
buried deep.
2-bit fucking streaming service.
Buried deep somewhere.
It's on Tubi.
Wow.
All right, next one.
Next one.
Here we go. This is called Symptoms. That was fun. That had kind of a Pantera feel to it.
Yeah, I kind of dig that one. It's kind of like an ode to the importance of good mental health when you look at the lyrics of the song, and it kind of talks about the things that work against that. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, I dig it for its subject matter, and I dig the way it sounds too.
Yeah,
it's decent.
Definitely reminds me of Far Beyond Driven type Great Southern Trendkill type Pantera.
Pantera, yeah.
So, I like
good enough.
I like the lyrical content as well. Yeah, we're kind of breezing through these because I'm getting low on the old oxygen tank here, so we don't have a whole lot to discuss. We'll just keep going.
I'm ready, man. If you feel the need to do some melody, no, that's not the word.
Medley.
Thank you.
I'm okay. Let's just we'll keep
right,
going
man.
here.
Rock and roll.
This next one is False Prophet. Yay, another song about how much religion sucks.
Pretty much. Yeah. I do like this one.
I like the sound of this one.
Yeah, apart from the subject matter.
Well, the subject matter is kind of ho-hum. Like, that's what I mean. Like, oh, yay.
I mean, this is legitimately like the album for all the fun metal topics that just about every metal band decides to latch onto. World War III.
I don't want to be like that cynical, but this does feel kind of like, all right. You know, it's funny. We were talking about the show Picard, which we're going to be reviewing next week on a TV Party, and and the comment has been said by other people as well as myself when I was talking about it with my friend. Then it feels like when they were developing the show, they just kind of put a list. They put like a picture of Patrick Stewart in the Picard outfit on a whiteboard, and everyone just started writing things that they think of when they think of like Jean-Luc. So it was like, okay, Borg, Earl Grey, Engage, sexy black women.
Yep.
Data.
Yeah.
You know? And
wine.
like, that just became this wine.
Yep.
And that just became the show. Like, they wrote around like these sort of like word bubble ideas of what they think Picard is, you know. And so I kind of feel like
top 10 answers on the board, get an episode. All right, here we go.
Show me Borg. Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. That's number 2.
Show me Locutus.
Guess what number 1 is?
7 of 9.
No, it's Riker. Number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Thank you. High five. All right.
Boo. Anyway, that kind of feels like somewhat the development of this album, to where here's the checklist of metal tropes.
Mm-hmm.
But that feels very negative, and I don't think it's fair in a way, because I think, like, it's a really good album, but it's also kind of trite.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be some we already talked about first song out right off the bat. Okay, well, there were some elements of Heaven's Gate that would appeal to a metal fan, but the whole overall picture of that is a little bit different than what you'd normally see focused on a metal album. But something like, Religion Sucks and World War III is going to happen, nuclear warfare, that feels like just run of the mill. Now, when we pick out a couple of these other songs here, like The Healers is going to be a good one, but when we get to Code of Hammurabi, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Hammurabi, okay. So I didn't know what that was.
Okay, I saw that on here, and all I could think of Code of Harambe.
Oh,
immediately fell in love with the song.
Rum Ahoy's Time to Party. What is going on?
Code of Harambe.
They totally, like, straight up took Harambe the Pirate Gorilla off of YouTube. You can't even find. I mean, you can't even find that. They did a whole video for that. It's completely gone.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, well, Code of Harambe. That's what we need to leave it as now.
All right. Yeah, I'm starting to die here, so we're gonna just medley these last three. Medley.
That sounds
Jesse.
good. A melody of medley.
Indeed. So here we go. This is The Healers, Code of Hammurabi, and Curse of Osiris.
Seems like yesterday.
Those three are my favorite songs on here.
Pick one. You got to pick one to put it on the list.
Yeah, I'm kind of caught between the Healers and Curse of Osiris.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Curse of Osiris because while I don't think I want to listen to an entire black metal album, I do enjoy a quick burst of black metal vocalization.
Okay. I had my notes for Curse of Osiris. I think that honestly is the heaviest song off this album.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, right out the fucking gate, it's adrenaline-fueled fire that's just nonstop. And it's not my favorite off of here, but I mean,
What don't you like about it?
It's, well, I think, did I put this on the notes? I think I had like negative points for black metal vocals.
Ah!
You know how I am with the Nazgul, and now that's nowhere near as bad as that. And you know, this is stuff that I could normally tolerate. So, but you know, here's the thing: this album runs in at about an hour, not counting the fucking like the one we're skipping, which is Catacombs, which is, by the way, Testament, you put your intro where your outro is. It's supposed to be backwards. You put that fucking thing at the beginning because it just feels
wherever you're putting it's getting cut.
Well, yeah, that was a lot of what people said. They said there's no sense in even having it on here. Put it on, put it at the beginning of the album.
Put it in the middle as like an interlude.
Something. It just felt weird having that at the end.
Yeah.
But according to what I read, there is some purpose to that. Like they're pulling some stuff from like the 90s apparently in that song. Either way. But yeah, we're in at 58 minutes here, or 56 by the time this album completely ends. And before the intro outro. I just think at that point by Curse of Osiris, I'm just like, okay, I need to take a nap. Because I'm wore out.
Yeah, those last three songs were kind of what I wanted to get to. So, I'm going to go ahead and say Curse of Osiris is my favorite song off of here, with a short follow by The Healers and then Children of the Night. I also want to say, so as far as a grade for the album, B+. Not perfect, but I think, a good, solid effort for Testament and a good solid Testament album. However, if you're really into thrash, and it's not one that we could get to this year, but I've been trying to, as albums are released, just put the ones I want to listen to, whether we cover them or not, into my playlists on Spotify. And then I kind of like listen to them on early mornings on the weekends when everyone's still asleep, as if like I'm reading comic books or something. And the other night, actually, I was driving home from work, and I did not want to listen to a podcast. I just was kind of sick of the human voice. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but I can't just listen to... It's very rare that I can just be in silence. So I was like, I need to hear some heavy thrash, like good heavy thrash, and I wanted to listen to something new. So I'm going to pitch you, Jesse. Go check out the new Annihilator.
Okay.
Ballistic Sadistic. Really, really good. You will not be disappointed.
All right. I will definitely... I've actually heard some other people talking about that album, so yeah. I'll remember that. What was the band name we had earlier? It was Manic Panic and the...
Outrageous Contagious.
Playing the hits off of... What was it? Sadistic Majestic?
Ballistic Sadistic.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Take me home, Daddy-O.
Okay. Yeah, as for a Testament album, I mean, this is up there for me. It's okay. It's not the top, my favorite Testament album, that's for sure. It's not there. But it's got some revisitability. I'll make that word up right now. Go back to it. Check it out there, because there's a couple songs on here that I feel definitely are worthy of replay. So... I do want to give some other ratings here from other websites. Metal Injection gave it an 8 out of 10. The Rockpick.net gave it a 9 out of 10. Blabbermouth gave it an 8 out of 10. WallOfSoundAU.com gave it a 9 out of 10. CrypticRock.com gave it a 4 out of 5. And MetalSucks.net gave it a 3 out of 5. So those are some pretty high marks when you look at it.
Better than average.
There was a guy, I kind of want to just give a little bit of his review here, he didn't like it. He gave it a 6. All right, a 6 out of 10. He says, I have given many chances to Titans of Creation because I love thrash and I'm a huge fan. By the way, this comes from metalstorm.net, and the reviewer goes by the name of Nick Arg. Because I love thrash and I am a huge fan of Testament's first 3 records and of The Gathering. However, this album does what 9 out of 10 thrash albums do nowadays, and have always done even during the 80s. It gets tired, and tiring easily. And with so much talent between the musicians, it's a shame, after a few songs, the riffs sound derivative, as if there is an algorithm used to generate them. The band even had the chance to end on a high note with Curse of Osiris, but they close and chose Catacombs outro, which sounds more like an intro. And trust me, I read his stuff after I made my comments on my notes. To close Titans of Creation, stretching the runtime of an album which was already way too long even further. Thrash records were never meant to be clocking in at just under an hour. There are elements of that review that I agree with.
Yeah.
I think he hits on some pretty solid points. I hate this. I mean, I understand these guys are, they should be, they're outside of the big four. I don't know how many reviews said that, but I understand these guys have been around. These are some established thrash veterans, but it sucks when you see them kind of fall into the same old. But the thing is, just like I said at the top of this show, we want some big dumb thrash, and that's exactly what we need. I think Testament came through for us. So there you go. Are we ready to end the show?
I think we are. Jesse's going back into his hole, and we're going to get another 6 weeks of winter.
There's a great Alice in Chains song called Down in a Hole, Mark Radulich. You ought to listen to it over and over. Listen to it over and over. Actually, listen to the whole album over and over.
So next week, Robert Winfrey, if he ever makes up his mind and commits to anything, his new thing now is to, like I'll be on if you have nobody else.
The non-committal.
If you absolutely need me, then I'll be there. But if you have other people and you don't need me, I'm gonna do other stuff. I'm like,
all right,
fuck.
He must be
whatever,
busy,
man.
He must be a busy man then. He must be busy.
We're all busy during the quarantine.
That's what I hear.
So anyway, Robert Winfrey, I tease him. We love him here. He'll be on for Nightwish, Human Nature, presumably, and then I think I'm by myself again for Black Dahlia Murder. So hopefully by then I'll have gotten my first treatment of the new medication that I'm supposed to be getting for my my disease, which has progressed. So maybe I'll be feeling better by then and actually want to do a podcast and not be gasping for breath towards the end. We'll see.
Yes, crossing our fingers, man.
The Black Dahlia oxygen.
Fucking Black Dahlia Murder. And now, I don't know if I want the quarantine and the overtime and all the fucking shit to happen through that, because I am not excited about possibly in any way, shape, or form reviewing that band or that album.
No, I get it. It's one of those where it's like Black Dahlia Murder is popular among metal fans, but that's how it ended up on the schedule. But yeah, I like the Black Dahlia Murder just fine, but I can't imagine I'm gonna have a lot to say about it.
And that's exactly how you're going to follow up about every track on that album. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. It's fine.
Oh, that needs... Put it on a shirt, Mindy.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow night, Pat Mullen, who's been doing the boxing podcast with me, and he shows up every now and then. We do love our cheesy sitcoms, and they don't come any cheesier or bigger than The Big Show.
Ooh.
So we're going to review The Big Show on Netflix. That's
very nice.
Tomorrow night. Next week, Jesse's back with a source material. Hot damn.
Hot damn.
So me and Jesse talk Picard Countdown, which is the prequel to the show. And then myself, David Wright, and Andrew Graham will be doing a TV party for Star Trek Picard. And then Jesse's back for one last podcast in the month of April. And then he's going to fuck right off.
Right off into the essential night.
We're going to talk Ozark Season 3.
Yeah. Have you watched any of it yet?
No, I got to finish Picard. My goal this weekend, while I'm off, is to finish Picard, watch Ozark, and start his Dark Materials.
Yeah, you're not going to be let down this season, I don't think. I'm about 3/4 through it, I think, and it's still as good as the first two, man. So you'll enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's just like I try to watch stuff closer to when we're reviewing things, so I don't completely lose the details, and I'm like struggling to remember things because I don't fucking take notes.
Well,
notes are for nerds.
Fuck you.
All right, I'm done talking now.
All right. Well, let's see if I can struggle through these plugs here. Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Rattlich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. We are part of W2M Net, the W2M Network. You can probably find that on the internet by typing that in, W2Mnet.com. That's what you want to type in. Go to your podcatcher, type in W2M Network, and you should be able to find our podcast right there along with many others. Just like Mark had mentioned, we have source material on there, which is basically a fun discussion among some people about a comic book story arc. We've gone back to the 70s. We've done stuff from the 80s. There's no bounds, any company, just so long as it's a fun discussion. That's what we're going to do. And we'll usually try to tie it in with something else coming up on the network. Also, just today, as a matter of fact, my other podcast that I do for the Unspoken Decade, that great 90s comic book website. We did Unspoken Issues, and I am in the middle of a hiatus, so my good buddy, our good friend, Chris Armstrong, has picked up the slack. Slapdick, as Mark Rattlich calls him.
Hey, stop trying to get me in trouble. Why is it between me and you?
Oh, that's going to end up on the gag reel. I don't understand, Mark. That's all over the gag reel on the next episode.
Oh, he's going to be mad at me.
I'm just kidding.
Him Slapdick.
No, anyway.
Well, tell him
Chris
stop saying fucking no to me.
Chris Armstrong. Chris Armstrong is stepping in for the hosting duties for the Unspoken Issues, and he had a couple great podcasts here. He did one with Al Sedano of the Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast, and he also did one with Evan Bevins. So they actually did a source material. All three of them did a source material for Spider-Man, the first 5 issues, I think, of the 2018 series, and they each did a Unspoken Issues episode with them. So if you like 90s comics, Chris Armstrong's out there. He is definitely scratching that itch. So I think that's going to be about it. So Mark Rattlich, it's your turn, buddy.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on a Metal Hammer of Doom. Be well, be safe, and behave.